Hello and welcome to CX Today. My name is Charlie. I am the senior editor here, and I'm thrilled today to bring you a rundown of 10 conversational AI providers to look out for in 2025. And joining me for that conversation are two very special guests. Yesterday, I'm delighted to be joined by Wayne Butterfield, a partner at ISG, focusing on AI, automation, and contact center transformation, and Derek Top, a senior analyst at Opus Research. Thanks both for joining me, and let's get right on into the discussion. And I kind of just want to start by framing this video and pointing out that it's not a vendor evaluation where we sort of rank the best vendors within the conversational AI space. If you want something like that, I'm sure you can go to the ISG or Opus Research website and download an in-depth report. But instead, we're sort of pinpointing those vendors that are catching the eye with differentiated AI strategies moving into the new year. And I also want to focus I also want to point out that we're going to focus on conversational AI in customer experience specifically. But now that housekeeping is out of the way, let's move right on into our conversation. And the first vendor that we have on our list is Cognigy. I don't know, Wayne, if you could sort of articulate why they're catching your eye.
Excellent, and thanks for the intro, Charlie, and Cognigy. So let me talk a little bit about Cognigy. One of the first real conversational AI vendors that caught my attention probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. Very focused or historically focused and built out of Europe. Some really big clients out of the DACH region. But the reason why they're still very much part of my focus for 2025 is a big push into the world of Agentic AI, and they made a big announcement recently with their CEO and others talking about Agentic and this next wave of conversational AI, and they've had a big fanfare recently. So they have both big existing clients, lots of fantastic case studies. I could name quite a few, but certainly they are still one that catches my eye as we now start to think about what happens next post basic conversational AI.
Yeah, just to add to that, like what Wayne was talking about, the announcements that they had were around prompt-based AI platforms, which really did kind of move things forward from expectation standpoint as far as what had been previously kind of a rules-based and very kind of structured as far as how dialogue design is done, and they did that perfectly well, by the way, before LLMs and ChatGPT and all that. But yeah, those prompt-based agent studios are pretty impressive, and I think they do have a good step forward going into the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I will say to the viewers, agentic AI is perhaps a word that you might hear a few times throughout this video, but it does. I think Cognigy really kind of stood apart last year in terms of the stuff that they were doing in terms of kind of building personas into the bots, things that are now started to become sort of mainstream, but they were very much ahead of the game on that. And now they are, as both pointed out, starting to kind of get ahead of the agentic AI wave too. So Cognigy is a really great first one. And then I see that we have OneReach as the second vendor on our list. I don't know, Derek, if you could start off on this one.
Yeah, no, and I mean, we'll stick to the agentic AI theme here because what they offer is a platform for development and orchestration of bots and AI and conversational AI, and they have been doing that for some years now. They pivoted from being kind of a one-off bot maker to really more of the kind of platform level, that orchestration level, and they have a lot of messaging and voice capabilities native to what they offer. And I think what we're seeing from them is this new architecture, this kind of cognitive architecture, which really enables this agentic AI movement. And when we talk about agentic AI, we do mean that as a way to tell in a very natural language, in a prompt-based way, just tell an agent, tell an AI to identify the tools it needs, the task at hand, and what kind of integrations you may need to solve whatever that task or a process is. And so the agentic AI part of that is really kind of streamlining and making automation much more of a successful thing rather than just kind of a front end self-service bot that you talk to. So having the ability to kind of have access and integrations in an orchestration platform is what's necessary, what's needed. And OneReach is one of the companies that has kind of caught our eye over the years, and they have a kind of a deep PhD team, extensive research, and really kind of have an effort to identifying those kind of next generation AI agentic AI opportunities. So yeah, that's just something that we've kind of paid attention to and curious to see what they do next.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think OneReach versus maybe every other conversational AI vendor that we'll talk about today were probably set up and created unknowingly in the best possible way to take advantage of all of these different LLM models, because their historical way of setting up was to use best of breed NLP. They weren't saying, hey, we have the best proprietary NLP. They were like, bring any model you want, which was great for NLP. It could have been Watson, Google Flow, whatever. Now we have all of these LLM models. Again, they're perfectly placed as an orchestration platform to take advantage of. So I think out of everyone we speak to and speak about today, they probably, as I say, unknowingly created a platform that can take advantage of any, bring your own model.
Yeah, excellent. Lots of great stuff there from both of you. And I think orchestration might be another word that we'll hear quite a lot today as well. So lots of good stuff on our first two vendors, Cognigy and OneReach. And the third vendor I have on my list is Kore.ai. I don't know, Wayne, if you maybe want to start on this one.
Mm-hmm. It feels like Kore.ai are in just about every big client I speak to over here in the US. So I think from certainly from a US perspective, Kore appears to be in many of the big brands. I think the reason why I'm still really interested in the 2025 is, although they're a similar capability to many other vendors, again, Cognigy we spoke about agentic here. I think that the key kind of thing that I'm taking away from recent launches and announcements is around a knowledge graph capability that's taken advantage of LLMs in the background to help answer much more complex queries than what we're getting now. I think many of the vendors will use LLMs to understand what the customer is saying. Kore, I feel, are taking a bit of a leap on an ability to answer more complex challenges, more complex queries as a result of their use of LLMs. Again, not everyone, and again, this is quite experimental right now because of hallucinations, etc. And I forget the exact name of the capability that they're talking about. Maybe Derek, you might remember, but that for me, this ability to go beyond simple transactional type activities, not just understand, but actually answer. I think Kore is again stealing a bit of a march. So that's my reason for why to still look out for Kore in 25.
Well, and just to jump on that, I mean, they have extensive experience, as you're saying, Wayne, and they have these kind of long-standing customers, and they have this ability to kind of show value, and they've in terms of what had been kind of traditional conversational AI self-service, and I think that is what has kind of given them this opportunity to take advantage of that next level of their platform, and it is about that complexity. I don't actually know the names specifically, but just kind of their track record gives them the opportunity to kind of iterate on top of something and make it more. So yes, they can take complex conversations. They do tend to also, they fit into CCaaS platforms. They don't necessarily kind of, so they have this kind of wider range of opportunities kind of, to go to market with these other CX companies that are out there. But what their solution provides is something that had been, what was one level initially just kind of a self-service bot, but really is kind of getting more complex and does kind of provide that more comprehensive platform based on the fact that they have these long-standing customers. And I think that's a very, very cool thing that's a good leg for them going to stand on for 2025.
Yeah, and I think actually from Kore.ai and Cognigy, they both do a very good job of getting into this kind of CCaaS environments. I think I saw last year Kore.ai was building bots on the Zoom platform, as well as another example. I think Cognigy has a really good relationship with a company like Avaya with huge enterprise, with huge enterprise customers who maybe won't kind of go through a CCaaS platform, but might want to overlay a conversational AI platform So yeah, I think to your point there, Derek, they both do a very good job of working with contact center vendors. But I will move the conversation across to our fourth vendor, which is Gridspace. Yeah, I don't know, Derek, if you want to take this one.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Gridspace is a company that's been on our radar for a while. They definitely. So they're they have a voice AI application. So they're heavily on the voice side. And they have kind of two different products. One is around what's called SIFT, and that's kind of how they started, which was kind of more transcription and conversational analytics. Um, and that has done well for them. They had some funding and some big name customers around USAA and others, and it's about kind of just tying to kind of understanding what people are saying based on in the contact center simultaneously. But it's kind of like this SIFT analytics platform. Their AI, the kind of the front end conversational AI, is called Grace, and Grace is as they have a number of different use cases. They've done particularly well focusing in healthcare. And kind of travel hospitality. So, but around like triage and scheduling, prescription refills, and they have some good name customers. Memorial Hermann, actually down in Texas, is one of their clients that they work closely with, and so their voice AI is just, it's also very compelling. Even again, like pre-Chat GPT, pre-LLM, they had this kind of very conversational, very natural experience with the UX that they had. Grace has become even more emotive and emotional, and they can really kind of tie into some of the latest technologies to make that user experience extremely effective. And like I said, they lead with these use cases. They lead with this idea of, okay, here's a place for us to save money for you or provide value. And I think that is done them well. And they're a small team. They're based in LA, and they have a strong kind of R&D element around some of the smarter folks that are out of Stanford and SRI and MIT and other things like that. They really kind of bring in some new folks that kind of show what's next for the technology. They have a YouTube channel too that we've been kind of watching quite a bit that has some kind of ways for them to get their word out there. So yeah, that's somebody to watch for.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And I like those guys because of how quickly they can create a conversational journey for Grace. So, I've worked with them with clients where you would go in and within a day, you would do perhaps what you might take weeks with other vendors. They will really put their money where their mouth is with regards to Grace, and just, it's like, hey, we can do an RFP, or literally we could just, let's just hack this out over the next couple of hours, and you'll see the product. So I really appreciate that from those guys.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, lots of really good stuff there. I must admit, I'm not as familiar with Gridspace as I am with many of the other names on the list, but lots of good stuff there. One I am much more familiar with, and those that kind of read reports like the Magic Quadrant would be more familiar with too, is Boost.ai, which is our next vendor. I don't know, Wayne, if you could start.
Yep. And I've known the Boost AI guys for a while. I think the reason why I put them on the list is because I think, unlike some of the other vendors that we might speak about, where their price point can be quite inhibitive, I like the Boost product because it gives you a lot of the features, the functionality, and all of the good things that we've been speaking about, but at a price point that's much more accessible for mid-market and for smaller organizations. And you do think that as much as AI is designed to try and save money, a lot of the implementations, both from an implementation and a software perspective, can be quite price inhibitive. So to have enterprise grade technology that is accessible, easy to deploy, and also a cost point that makes it accessible for the many, not just the big enterprises, I think is the reason why I'm continue to be favorable towards the Boost.ai guys.
Yeah, and I don't actually work closely with them, but yeah, they've been also kind of on this up and coming track based on some of the stuff that they're doing around analytics or around their AI agent stuff, and so we are curious to learn more, and yeah, I would definitely be on the lookout for them next year too.
Yeah, absolutely. I know them doing much more in terms of their marketing. They are filling up my inbox
Yeah.
at the moment, which is a good thing, I suppose. Yeah, so we have gone through quite a few now, but one name that's still on our list is Sprinklr. I don't know, Derek, if you want to start here.
Yeah, well, Sprinkler. I mean, I guess we don't necessarily think of them as a conversational, kind of, I don't know, the AI like up and coming, on the radar for next year. They've been around for a while, and certainly have been more in terms of that kind of the social and content marketing, and really have a strong platform for that kind of unified customer experience platform. I think they call it, and they have. Certainly had some success, and they've pushed into CX management and conversational AI, and have some leading edge technology around that. What's exciting about them, and we talked about this in another program, but yeah, they have a change in leadership. So I'm curious what that means for them going into the next year. Rory Reed is coming over from Vonage. Well, after Vonage was acquired by Ericsson, and I think there's an opportunity for Sprinklr to redefine itself going into the new year, and I think that is what's exciting from their standpoint, is they can focus on growth, they can focus on new revenue opportunities, they can really kind of see where some of their AI technologies can take them, and Rory is a person who has had previous success, not only at Vonage but at other companies before that, and I think there's an opportunity for them to really kind of move beyond what had been on the social media channels and really kind of more of a marketing play, but really into what's customer, a larger part of the customer life cycle and the customer journey. And so yeah, it's a curiosity more than anything, maybe, but I am sure that there's going to be some waves that they're going to be making into next year.
Cool. I mean, again, I know the Sprinklr guys predominantly from early social media management. When I was at BT in '02, and Sprinklr were very much one of the leading players in that space. So whenever you get a leader in one area deciding to make waves in another, especially as big and interesting as conversational AI, I think it definitely deserves to be on the watch list for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do remember writing about in Sprinklr they brought out digital twins for their conversational AI platform earlier in the year, and I thought that was an interesting concept. And they were very much early on having your bots work together, so you can create one agent for one thing, and then that speaks to the agent that's speaking to the customer. So having that flow, and that's something we're starting to see more and more of with agentic AI, and it was good to see sort of at the precipice of that.
Just real quick on that, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Like the digital twinning thing, I think was exactly key to having this idea of thinking about automation and AI as an employee, or as some kind of representation of an employee, and really kind of what that could mean, both from a customer facing standpoint and also an internal employee facing standpoint. So yeah, I think they do have some unique ideas around that, and where it goes, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think it is big too, as it's conversational AI is one part of a bigger CX suite, and I'm sure that's a theme that we'll get onto later on too. So now we are on to Pypestream as our next vendor. I don't know, Wayne, if you want to go on this one.
Cool. And the reason I like Pypestream, again, I tried to, with all of these vendors, pick different things that they're good at. And the Pypestream team, for me, they very focus on a digital interaction that is complemented with conversational AI when needed. And so I always feel like, there's digital overlays, there's a lot more clicking and swiping and videos, and it feels more like an interaction that you can become engaged in, as opposed to a conversation that you are typing in. Occasionally there's a swipe bar or whatever. So I think the fact that they are different in the way that they are pulling together, they're pulling you into an interaction. And so hopefully it's less typing, but that doesn't take away from resolution. And again, in certain areas, like when you're choosing a broadband package, or you're trying to compare different products, visual versus explanation wins every time. And so again, when you think about conversational platforms, it doesn't, horses for courses would be something that Phil First would bring up, right? Different platforms work for different clients in different scenarios. This is a great example of where a more digitally engaging platform will work for certain clients in certain situations. So again, that's why Pypestream are on my list, because they're a little bit different. Yes, they're conversational AI, but they're very focused on digital interactions as a whole.
Yeah, no, and exactly. I think that is key. And some of the vendors that we're talking about, we're kind of more voice focused or voice AI, and this is, and I think that digital is a key differentiator for them. And it's also just becomes a kind of a just a compelling core. The focus they have. You mentioned broadband. They have had some named customers in the kind of telecom and broadband and like kind of content entertainment space. And I think once again, like, yeah, once you have that proven example, that proven use case, and especially with digital, there's some pretty clear metrics and ROI just around containment and making sure that the value is pretty clear once you establish it. And then I think Pypestream can really kind of leverage some of those previous customers to show that they what they do is works and it works well.
Yeah, and I really like the idea of blending those modalities within conversational AI experience too. And as we see like ChatGPT 4.0, for example, and its ability to sort of leverage different text to image, image to text capabilities. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how brands like Pypestream can orchestrate those, can help orchestrate those experiences. So yeah, really another really good example there. And our eighth out of the 10 providers to look out for now is Parloa. Derek, I don't know if you can speak to those.
Yeah. Parloa is kind of new to our radar. I think they're based in Germany and they have a U.S. presence as well. But yeah, they in the OneReach kind of realm, they have this Agentic AI platform studio, and so they do have a studio. I think that's what's important to note here, is that they have this kind of opportunity to kind of use the tools and structures to create voice AI and conversational AI experiences. They also they really fell into they had some new funding recently and have they have some good relationships with some larger CX and CCaaS platform vendors. They came into our radar based on some of their relationships that they have around trust and security and compliance. They also work with Microsoft on this, and they're part of a report that we put out recently that looked at kind of what you need to do as an organization, as an enterprise, to think about how to, as these new voice AI technologies are being implemented with your organization, if you're concerned, and as you should be, about hallucinations or privacy or kind of the structured guardrails that you needed within conversations with your customers. Parloa does have a pretty significant and comprehensive security platform that's tied with their studio around the voice AI studio they have. So in our mind, that kind of just was a pretty clear example of somebody that's thinking the right way, and also helping enterprises and their customers, who are concerned about doing a do-it-yourself approach for security and kind of bringing in your own IT teams. You can lean on some of your providers for that security, and Parloa is an example of that. So that's why they definitely caught our eye.
Cool. And I think you can't underestimate security in today, in the world of LLMs and voice. I don't think you can underestimate the requirement around additional security, additional quality assurance. No longer are we going to have every answer scripted, approved by marketing, approved by customer experience, approved by the process owner, because that's just not the world where we're moving towards. And so any technology that can complement and maybe provide more automated oversight in quality assurance for these voice bot, chatbot responses has got to be someone to look out for in 2025 for sure.
Yeah, and that mitigation of risk is that's coming from the top down, and and so those concerns are there, and exactly that's you're going to go a long way as you bring in that element and make sure that that's part of your strategy going forward with AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And Parloa are actually quite new to my radar as well. I think I only first heard of them early 2024 as well. So it's interesting to see the impact that they've already had within the market. So yeah, that's great. And let's get on to our final two conversational AI providers. So we have Uniphore up next. I don't know, Wayne, what you can tell us about them.
Yeah, lots. They're not a CCaaS vendor, but they're more than a conversational AI vendor. So they're kind of in between. So they've been very acquisitive. They've made a number of different acquisitions over the years. Jakarta would be one of their acquisitions. Redbox would be another one of their acquisitions, and they've made others as well. The reason why I bring these guys up is, I guess, kind of twofold. I think Derek and I have done a fantastic job of bringing different vendors for different reasons. When I think of Uniphore, again, I think of them as a multifaceted, similar to OneReach, really, in their ability to do more than one thing in this conversational AI space. Yes, they can do the general voice bot. They have things like visual IVRs. They have a really big user case with EE back in the UK as one example, using their Jakarta integration. But they also do things on the conversational analytics side as well. So not only are they nudging agents with Agent Assist, yes, they're doing some stuff in the IVR as well, but they're also doing more on the analytics side. And so you've kind of got a conversational AI vendor that's doing a bit more than just, answering queries. Now they're really starting to support agents. Or have been supporting agents, and that's one of the reasons why I've started following them in their agent assist capability, but also more so now the ability to actually understand what's going on with all of these customer queries and what can we do about them to actually reduce the number of inbound queries coming into an organization. So multifaceted. I'm not necessarily going to say that they're best, standalone conversational AI vendor, but as a full package, they're offering something that many of the other vendors aren't out of one product.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting choice, and I like it because exactly they have a lot of funding, by the way. So they're a large organization that has a lot of backing and looking forward to what they're supposed to what they're doing with when it comes to agent assist. And you're right, the conversational analytics and stuff that they started with a lot of that. They also just had some recent acquisitions around customer data platforms and cloud migration, and so they really are laying the foundation into that level of access and integration and data, and really kind of what it can provide from a conversational AI standpoint, from an agentic AI standpoint. And I think that they have so many different pieces to the puzzle. It's a matter of putting it all together and seeing what's next for them, and that will be a curious thing for them.
Yeah, it's another good company, and again another company that often appears on my social media feed with the CEO, especially doing a very good job of kind of spreading that message.
Yeah, Umesh is on like CNBC. He's always out there talking. So
yeah, absolutely, and as you both said, a very deep platform as well that caters to many, and that brings us to our final conversational AI provider. And this is rather unique. Well, I say rather unique. We also had Sprinklr, who's now a CCaaS provider too. But we have Five9, which is predominantly a CCaaS provider. I don't know, Derek, if you want to talk about why you wanted to include Five9 on the list.
Yeah, well, and Five9, exactly. They are CCaaS. That's kind of what they're defined as. And so I definitely, and as they have over the years become, they bought a company called Inference Solutions some years ago that we were pretty aware of from a voice AI and a bot standpoint. And they have evolved that in a very, I think, encouraging and impressive way for what conversational AI is becoming for Five9. They do have, and over this past year, they announced like their Genius AI. They announced an AI studio that really, and they've demoed out some pretty impressive ways to just kind of how to build these conversational AI tools, leveraging LLMs, leveraging the kind of next generation of Gen AI, and really within a very easy to understand and easy to use studio platform to kind of make sure that you're listening and analyzing and taking advantage of the conversation, and then how they can be used from both a self-service standpoint, which was Inference was, but also and also an agent assist. So really kind of providing that kind of back-end expertise and help, tapping into knowledge sources, having an AI automation really can provide those tools for you. And they've even showed in the latest example, kind of that agentic part of it, which means having the AI take on actions on its own in order to solve whatever task needs to be handed with they had something around kind of a upgrading your level in an airline type of scenario. So there is, I think, a lot to be said about what Five9 is putting together from, like I said, from a platform and AI studio standpoint. And they also, something else they introduced recently is called an AI blueprint, which was kind of trying to help their customers get started. And I think we talked about that a little bit in terms of who are the larger customers. How do you really kind of get an AI strategy going? They're looking both from the top down and also from the bottom up, and helping their enterprise customers and smaller customers leverage what's out there and making sure they get value pretty quickly out of AI. So yeah, I'm curious to see what's next for them.
Mm-hmm. I think just to add, I think the whole CCaaS space and whether or not you use a standalone vendor, like many of what we've spoken about before, or you rely on the CCaaS vendor themselves and their capabilities, a really interesting conundrum. And one of my kind of top picks for 2025, if we ignore vendors, is around consolidation. And this is one area where if as a CCaaS vendor, if you can get your capabilities right, there is a serious option there for some kind of vendor consolidation. So, Five9 clearly making lots of waves, but you can't ignore NICE, Genesys, and also Amazon Connect in this space and others. So again, the whole CCaaS conversational AI world, I think, is ready and something that everyone should keep an eye out in 2025.
Yeah, and the only thing I just wanted to add to just on the Five9 and this goes to all the other vendors you talked about. It's they're looking beyond just the contact center, looking beyond just kind of customer service and support. Five9 bought a company called Acqueon, which does looks more in terms of outbound and potential opportunities around marketing and sales and e-commerce and conversational commerce and so as these companies are looking about what's next for conversational AI, but the use cases go beyond just traditional self-service and kind of deflection and containment. There's really like new opportunities that are being applied from a revenue generation standpoint, and kind of creating that business value for conversational AI in the contact center and beyond. So they're all going to be looking at that going forward.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's a really good point. And what we have to recall is the more conversational AI becomes the thing, the interaction, the channel, the less human interaction there's actually going to be. In theory, there is all these other opportunities for where we can start to use these voice, these agents in order to do things like outbound. So again, strategically, not just looking at inbound interactions that are currently happening, but how you can also use these technologies and these capabilities in the future to start thinking about outbound and proactive interaction. So again, really interesting space, both in CCaaS and outside of CCaaS, and does kind of encompass all of this conversational AI.
Yeah, and I think recently as well, I've been seeing quite a lot of commerce bots as well, supporting sort of that checkout experience too. And then obviously sales teams and marketing teams will start to use them. And then there's internal use cases to kind of use a bot. And I've seen businesses use a bot instead of sort of there to answer kind of questions that would usually go to the IT team. So it's interesting how this space is developing, and we've picked out 10 vendors there, but I mean there's hundreds really of conversational
There are
AI vendors, and what will happen now, a lot of these capabilities are sort of merging within the space, will be very interesting to consider. But I think you've both done a great job of picking 10 vendors that do differentiate in their strategies. So I want to thank very much Wayne and Derek for joining me today. It's been a great conversation. So thank you to you, and also thanks to everybody for watching. Bye for now.
Thanks very much. Cheers, guys.